I'm so grateful that you guys decided to come into this conversation. I feel like it's an important conversation for us to have, not just for mental health awareness, but also, the solo female nomad community, to have those few things, those few titles that we have all in common here. And so I think that that's important to have people to relate to. I think that's the biggest struggle for women like us, or strong female women that do this life. um People always say reach out if you're not feeling good, but if you don't feel like somebody can relate to you, it's less likely that you're going to reach out to somebody. Like, if you don't have just that, especially when it has something to do with this lifestyle, if you reach out to somebody that doesn't know your struggles as a nomad, as a van life person, like, you're least likely to reach out to them just because you don't feel like they're going to be able to understand or relate to you. So that's why I wanted to have us all together, because we can at the very least, relate on that. And that is important to me as well. So
Greetings, I'm Queen Tasha, and welcome to my channel, Queen Tasha TV, where I share my very unique and alternative lifestyle, from RV life and travel adventures to DIYs, how-tos, healthy living, and sustainability. I want to put a young black face to alternative living and inspire those watching that it's okay to be different and live your own best life. Please subscribe and join me each week on my journey to live fearlessly free.
greetings and welcome to my channel, Queen Tasha TV. Um, we are here today to talk about mental health awareness, and I brought some lovely ladies here with me to just have a conversation about the downsides of traveling alone or being a solo female nomad, and also, how we deal with mental health on the road, or being a solo female, how we deal with our mental health practices, and just being able to voice some of the struggles or downsides or challenges, or whatever you want to call it, of van life and RV life, because it is very glamorized on YouTube, it is very glamorized on Instagram, and that's because we are having a blast. And we don't always want to pick up the camera when it's not that. And so this is our chance to kind of like talk about that, and any stories or anything that we have that relate to that. So we'll go ahead and get started, and I just want to go around and have everybody introduce themselves and tell us a little bit about your nomad life so far. So I guess we'll start with Natasha, since she popped in first, and then we'll just kind of go. I don't know if you guys have the same setup or circle as me, but I'll just call you out, and then you can just you can introduce yourself. But Natasha, go ahead and you can get started.
Of course. Hi, I'm Natasha from Tasha of All Trades. I started living van life about 9 months ago, and I feel like it just kind of flew by. I'm hoping to be more like traveling full time. I'm kind of stationary right now, just to work and life with my daughter, being a co-parent. And so I'm hoping to travel more and get further out.
And how old are you, and where are you currently?
I'm in California. I am 30 years old, and I have a 6-year-old daughter.
Nice. Cool. Let's go over to my other friend, Tasha. Introduce yourself.
Hey, sorry, I am suffering with these New Jersey allergies. This pollen is crazy out here. So that's where I currently am. I grew up in New Jersey, so I'm back here visiting friends before heading up to the New England states this summer. Once I'm done them, I will have hit 37 states. I've been traveling for about a year and a half around the country, and I just kind of miss those, like, that northern row of states up at the top of, like, the Canadian border. But other than that, I feel like I've pretty much hit a lot of them. So yeah, 37 this year. I'm traveling with my dog. And before this, I did an RV. So I had that for about a year. And then I downsized but upgraded, I feel like, to a van. And I did all the work myself. My dad helped me a little bit. And yeah, it's been a blast. It's been a lot of fun.
Nice. Nice. Alrighty. Havanya. I'm going to say it wrong. I'm sorry. Let's. If you want to jump in and introduce yourself.
Okay. Hey, my name's Havanya. And I tell people it rhymes with lasagna to
Okay.
help them remember my name. So Havanya Lasagna.
Okay.
I'm 29 and I'm from Georgia. Right now I'm still in Georgia.
Okay.
I just moved into my bus in February. So yeah, it's still very new for me, but moved into my bus in February, and I'm basically wrapping up last minute things before I go to the meetup, which will be my first destination on the trip because right now I am wrapping up things with family who are graduating and things of that nature. So I'm currently at my aunt's house. But yeah, so I am headed to Florida to the Black Tribe
Black Travel
meetup.
Tribe.
Black Travel Tribe. Okay, so I get
Yeah.
that in the Black Nomad meetup mixed
Yeah.
up. But yeah, so I'm going to head there, and then those are going to be my first stops. First stop, caravan to the Black Nomad, and then I'm heading west to meet my mother in Arizona, and we're going to travel to California. I'm going to drop
Nice.
her off at home in California. So that's
Nice.
kind of my story.
Alrighty, and then Sabrina, if you wanna
I
jump
figured
in.
the microphone thing.
Yeah. It might be the signal out there too.
My name is Sabrina or Bree. I prefer Bree. I've been nomadic for about 3.5 years. I was full time for about 3. I'm part timing now. Um, I've taken a trip across the country and back. What was the other questions?
How old are you? Where are you from?
Oh, 36 from New York City, but I've been in Florida for about 7 or 8 years now. And this is where I'm based now. So I'm doing all my part time, the caravan trip and stuff from Florida with the Queen.
Alrighty. All right. So, we'll go back around in the same order and just answer the question for me. I'll start. What does mental health mean to you, and why did you want to be a part of this conversation today? So, for me, mental health is just like body health. It's something that needs to be taken care of. And to be honest, right now, it's probably one of the top things we should be taking care of. I think we focused a lot this year on learning how to be clean and sanitized. And we didn't take into account that, the things that are going on in the world have created a mental health crisis for a lot of people. Both extroverts and introverts have been definitely struggling. And I have as well, and didn't realize it for a while, but mental health for me is just making sure that I'm okay. That I'm okay up here, that I am managing. It's really like managing, just like everything else. You work out and you practice to keep your body healthy. It's finding ways to manage your mental health. And I wanted to have this conversation, like I said before, because it's important for us, especially women who are solo. We are very brave, strong women to be taking on being in a van or an RV by ourselves, you know, going out on the road or just living alternatively. And with that strength also can come weaknesses that we do not have either a chance to express to other people, or we suppress it because we're trying to be that strong woman. And you know, we choose this life, but at the same time doesn't mean that it doesn't come with its own challenges. It doesn't. And just in general, mental health, you know, like before RV life and stuff like that, I've lived alone for a lot of part of my life. And so I just think it's important for us to talk about it, for us females that are strong women, for us to talk about what we deal with, because you know it's great to be, you know, a positive person and have a great perspective, but we do have that side. You know, we do have those challenges that we don't always get to talk about. We just have to be like, oh, it happened, it is what it is, it's fine. And it is. And then not to say that it isn't, it's just we don't get a chance to feel it before it goes away. And what that does is it gets trapped inside of us and it might come out at another time. So this is really just that time to hone in on what those challenges and those struggles are for this specific life, and have a chance to talk about those things. So that's what it is for me. So we'll go around the same way. Natasha, just tell me, what does mental health mean to you, and why did you want to be a part of this conversation?
Mental health to me, I kind of like entered my world when I became an EMT. Prior to, I hadn't really thought much about it, because I had a really good like childhood, I guess, and I was really sheltered, and I didn't have like a stressful environment. But as I got older, as I started experiencing my own traumas, I began to have like this feeling inside of me where I felt like I couldn't share. I couldn't put my finger on exactly what was wrong. I felt like something was wrong and I couldn't quite figure it out. I'd be sad and I didn't know why. And it was just as I was like entering adulthood and figuring out like, oh, I'm feeling depressed, I'm feeling unhappy, I have these unresolved emotional problems, you know, that I'm struggling with that I didn't understand because I came from a relatively healthy background.
Mm-hmm.
As those things started like popping up, eventually I was like, oh, this is my mental and emotional health that people don't talk about. It's like a taboo subject.
Mm-hmm.
And realizing that like even amongst my own family culture and how we express ourselves and how we allow each other to express ourselves, it's very muted. You know, it's like, don't talk about your mental health.
Mm-hmm.
Don't say that anything's wrong because people might think that you're crazy, you know? And so I realized that that's the opposite of what should be happening. Like, people shouldn't feel ostracized or feel like it's an issue to share their feelings or their emotions or discuss the problems or navigate the path to having a healthy emotional mindset. So I really wanted to have this talk because I went through really dark times myself and I struggled to share. I struggled to tell anybody about it because I was embarrassed. I didn't
Mm-hmm.
want anybody to know that there was anything wrong with me. I didn't want to feel like I wasn't strong enough to handle my problems, you
Mm-hmm.
know? And as I've gotten older and I look at my daughter too, I'm like, I don't ever want her to feel that way. I don't want other women to feel that way. I want us to speak up. And so that's
Yeah.
why this conversation is so important to me because I've been in very dark, dark moments before and couldn't bring myself to speak up and say
Mm-hmm.
anything about it. And so I think it's important that we create a safe space for people to share and to relate with and say, yeah, me too,
Right.
you know?
Yeah, exactly. Cool. Tasha, if you want to jump in and also answer the question, what does mental health mean to you, and why did you want to be a part of this conversation?
Um, I guess for me, like I've always been a super introverted person. Like being a Cancer and just being like an only child for so long, I just kind of like allowed myself to be that way and just kind of just always thought it was part of my personality to just kind of stick to myself and keep my feelings inside. And I also grew up that way. Like we didn't talk about feelings. We didn't, talk about our emotions or share anything. And so really, it just kind of was like within the past few years when all this kind of became like more common to talk about, like mental health awareness and everything like that. I just kind of started like looking more introspectively and becoming more aware of issues that I was dealing with. And like it's not really super common still for me to talk about it, but I am more aware of issues that I'm dealing with, and I try not to, I guess, internalize a lot of things. So I won't like push it down and not think about it. I'll actually like be aware of it more often. And so yeah, I don't have a lot of other nomad friends, and so for this topic to kind of pop up with a group of like really cool like nomadic women, I just thought it was interesting to become part of this conversation.
Cool. Great. Great having you. Okay, Havanya, answer the question for me. What does mental health mean to you, and why did you want to be a part of this conversation today?
Well, for me, mental health is, it sounds dramatic, but survival for me, for real.
Yeah.
I'm a very emotional person. She mentioned she's a Cancer. I'm all into astrology. I have a Scorpio moon. I'm like, I'm very emotional and intense when it comes to like things. So, for me, mental health for me is basically allowing myself to feel, when it pops up, and it's okay. Like it's okay for me to cry in that moment. It's okay for me to be angry in this moment and don't repress those things. I'm very much learning these things now. Growing up, it was not okay to have emotions. You will get roasted for any emotion that you have. And so now as an adult, for me, it's very much feel what I feel, and it's okay for me to feel those things. Mental health is also very connected to my spiritual side as well. Like it's it allow it's a part of it.
Yeah,
It's very much intertwined
for
for
sure.
me. The foundation, the ability to understand that I am made for a reason. I have a purpose here, and the way that I feel and do things is not abnormal, or flawed. So why do I want to have this conversation? I want to have this conversation, or I want to be a part of this conversation. Sorry, I'm getting a phone call. I want to be a part of this conversation because, one, I'm all about mental health. I love talking about it. Always have. Always been super introspective. Soon as I found out there was a science behind why people do the things that they do, I was like, oh, psychology is a thing. Let me study that.
Yeah.
I'm all into those things.
Mhm.
Um, but also, as far as being like a nomad and in the van life, bus life situation, like you said on Instagram, it's all looking into the stars and the sky on top of your bus or your van, and it's just so pretty, and you just feel peaceful at all times, and it's like, no, like I'm still very new to this, but it's not like that at all. Just if we talking about van life, like getting it built, like the process of building your van is a tax on the mental health. Okay.
Right.
Like, so, and then
Renovations.
some days, yeah, and so like those are just moments, like the Instagram posts and the YouTube videos and things of that nature. Those are just moments, and there's moments in between those moments. So I think it's very important to understand that. So that's
Right.
why I wanted to be a part.
Yes, thank you. Thank you. All right, Bree. If you want to jump in and answer what this is mental health, you lounging out there now. Were you in the little
I'm
tent?
trying to stay away from the deer. The deer are like over here, right in front of the thing. So I'm like, let me get in here and lounge. Um, I'm losing stuff. So, mental health is important to me because I feel like the most important health. You know, some people are born with no arms, no legs, can't do anything, and it's everything is lived through their mental space and their perspective and all that stuff. So through this van, just I grew up with everybody in my family has some sort of mental health thing. So I've always been aware of it. It hasn't been taboo in my family, but I didn't admit and that I had issues of depression or just any mental health issues. I thought I was the fine one and everybody else was crazy. But during the time that I was living in my van, before that too, but a lot happened living in my van that opened me up and opened my eyes to my own mental health issues. And it's one of the reasons I transitioned back to normal life for right now. And so it was important for me to come and talk about that because I didn't want to leave van life, even though my mental health was being affected. But I was also living like my best life. So it's like, how can you be living your best life and feel so amazing, but still be going through some, mental health issues? And so I wanted to come on and talk about that because that's what happened to me. And I think it's important to share. And then it's always cool to meet other people. Everybody you can be normal and still have, there's issues where you're sad or depressed or just processing things. So I think it's important for everybody to hear, but it's also good when you can relate to, like you said, building the van. I broke down and cried. Like, I was like, why did I do this? And then I rebuilt it. I'm like, why am I doing this again? So it's good to have people to relate to.
I feel you. I need to put
Why?
that on the
A
list,
second
yo.
time.
That should be a talking point by itself, yo. Renovations and building, especially if you've never done it before and you're finding out everything for the
Never.
first time. Like, yeah, that I've definitely cried, gave up, looked at stuff like, you
Mm-hmm.
know what? It doesn't look that bad. I don't want to keep going. I'm done with
Mm-hmm.
it. It is what it
Mm-hmm.
is. Like, just leave it that way. I'm
Right.
done. I can't. Uh, we can even talk about that as our first talking point, but uh, yeah, renovation stories are like, yeah, because once you get it done and it looks beautiful, and then you do your little tour and you're up and you're like, yes. And some people even do stories and stuff on their Instagram showing, okay, look what I did today, look what I did today, but they didn't be like, I cut my hand open in the process, and I had to drink a whole bottle of wine tonight because I just couldn't deal with today. It was just the whole thing, like, just everything. So yeah, if anybody has any, renovation struggle stories where they just, you know, whatever. We all have that story where we had a breakdown, a mental breakdown during something that seemed so easy, maybe, or even we thought, or maybe it didn't seem easy in the sense of actually doing it, but like in our mind we are like, how long could it take to throw up some lights, or how long could it take to like build out this? It looks so simple in my head. Cut this, cut that, blah blah blah. Then you start cutting pieces, you're like, oh crap, I cut it the wrong way, I don't have any more, I don't feel like going back to Home Depot, like what am I gonna do right now? So yeah, I'll let anybody jump in for if you have any
Oh,
current renovation
100%.
stories.
That was me, like right before this call, because my Havelock wool came in later than I expected, and you can see it's not even done, and I've lived in this van for 9 months. And today, like before this call, I'm like stuffing like the wool into like the different crevices and thinking to myself, like, why did I do everything backwards? Like I've done everything backwards and I have to redo it. And sometimes like I have like family like, what are you doing with your life and why? I've like coworkers like,
Mm.
why would you live in a van? I'm like, I don't know. I just want to.
Right,
So
right.
like I totally 100% like that was me earlier today sitting outside because I'm in a parking lot in front of
Mm.
a mall because I have an
Mm.
appointment there later, and I'm just sitting here like to all the people driving by, like I promise you it's going to be worth it, but right now I'm not feeling it.
Right. Right, right, right. Anybody else? Want to share anything about renovations? The struggles of renovations.
I will. Everything on YouTube. So I had a car, then I moved into a shuttle bus, then I moved into a van. And everything always looks so easy on
An
on YouTube.
edited
I'm like, I
YouTube
can do
video.
this. Right. And edit it, and then I do it, and it's never, the shuttle bus 20 grand down the drain. It didn't, I couldn't do anything with it. I had to give it away after spending 20 grand. And nothing got done though. That was just like the trauma of that. Then the van, which I had the longest,
Mm,
and I was able to really like really live in. I built it, which was trauma, because everybody says they're gonna help. I was telling people I was gonna live in a tiny house in a van for like 10 years. So the world knows. The world knows. And then when it's time to do it, nobody wants to help you. And then you think you could do it. I don't even glue stuff together. I can't draw a straight line. So it was, and then I did it one way, and the first way I did it, I just put like a dresser in it and a futon. I didn't really have to do much building. But then I was like, no, I could build me a little bed. And it was the tears. I have videos like I was crying,
I know.
and I was like, I'm over it. Like, this can't be life. There's got to be a better way. Like, this isn't worth it. Then I'm breaking my fingers, and I mean, not literally breaking them, but cutting them open because I'm cutting myself. Reviewing the videos, realizing that I'm holding the saw wrong, and I could have like chopped off a limb. But like that second build, almost, it broke me, because the first build it was a no build, so it was
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
whatever. But the second one, I was actually trying to like make, when you open the little door and have the kitchen out there, it got done sloppily. But the trauma of going through it, I was like, I'm buying an RV next time. Like, who does this? Who signs up for this? And you think after the 20 grand loss and the shuttle bus that didn't work out, like I couldn't build anything that I would have learned, but I didn't. So it's like I was in that moment. The second build, I was like, I must want drama, because this is too much. Like, it got done, and I was able to drive across the country the other way. So it was cool, but that was very, very traumatic for me. I still have like trauma wounds from that. Like, build what? Who? No, I'm good.
For me, I definitely agree with all of that. All of that. For me, I'm still building as I'm living in it, because the whole start, like, build the whole thing and then go, that wasn't gonna happen for me. It just wasn't. I needed to I need to get in there, see what I needed. I realized if I would have done things like I saw on YouTube or Instagram, like where they have all of the walls, the bathroom on this side, the kitchen on this side, and then there's like a hallway in the middle, it would have driven me crazy. There's not enough space. I need open space. So like for me to build, I need to be in there experiencing and be like, I think I need this right here. This would make this a little bit easier for me. But as far as projects, everything is a breakdown. Everything, because it's a new process every time. And I'm Aries. My sun sign is Aries. So, like, my attention span is about this big. Like, so I get started on anything. And by the time it doesn't work the first two, three times. All right, it's fine. It's fine. It doesn't even work. It doesn't work. It's in, it's out, it's fine. It looks fine. It works. I'm not gonna sit here and play with this and make it look pretty. I'm just
Right.
not. Does it work for what is going on right now for the moment? Cool. Let's move on to the next thing.
Right.
Because if I sit here and try to deal with it and make it pretty, I'm gonna drive myself crazy, and then I'm gonna be sitting here looking at it crying for the next couple of days. Like, I'm just not gonna do it.
Right.
So
Right. Right.
that's just how I feel about the building. Like, it's a learning process every time. And as far as YouTube videos, the edited version of them, like, I try to put up solar. First of all, like you said, they're edited, so they're missing pieces. Like, they don't give you everything. I think
Mm,
I'm over here on YouTube University
right.
trying to get everything going, and they didn't tell me I needed a certain screw or I needed this piece to go to this piece or an adapter or something like that. I'm like, how am I supposed to know that, YouTube? How?
Right.
But yeah, so building is stressful.
Yeah, for sure. What about breakdowns, vehicle related, like mechanical breakdowns? I know for me, crossing the country, for the most part, I didn't have no issues. On the way back to Florida, that's when, and I have an older vehicle, and so I knew that that was going to be a thing. And so the shock of it wasn't what caused the breakdown for me. It was more of like the timing of the like, it was cold. I was on the side of the highway in the middle of nowhere town on a weekend, kind of shit. Just like, why today? Like, why? I almost was where I was about to go. The first breakdown, I was on my way to a hotel to take a break from RV life. That's what I like to do every once in a while. And that's one of my mental health practices, is to take a break from the RV, from my house. Just like you would go on a vacation, I do a staycation in a hotel. I'll go to a hotel for a couple days just so I can have a break. Not because I'm not enjoying it. It's just, you need that open space sometimes. Tiny living is very nice. But if it's cold and you're stuck inside, you want to reach your hands out, or maybe you want to take a nice long shower or bath. I like to go in the hotel and take a bath, because I don't have a bath, a bathtub that I can take a bath in. And so I was on my way to the hotel and broke down. And I was like, I had stopped at a Walmart. So luckily I was like in a Walmart parking lot, but I stopped at a Walmart to grab something and it wouldn't start back up. And I was like, I made it all the way here. I don't know what happened. It was like right at the beginning of the starter going bad. Like, it was already going bad because it was an original starter from 1987, but I was able to get it started again because I called Good Sam and they sent somebody out to help me jump it or whatever. And I was like, I don't need to jump. It's not the battery. I knew that. But I wanted somebody to come out because I needed a second hand for how to start it with the car, because it's carbureted. So if you open up the choke, but when you're starting it, it allows a airflow to go through really quick and it will start it regardless if your starter works or anything like that. So I did that. It started it. I was like, okay, let me go. I don't have that far. I pull out of the parking lot to go down the road, and I'm like, I start hearing a noise, and it was like, and then it started jerking. I was like, oh, it's about to go. So I pull into the closest parking lot, which was not the most ideal parking lot for towing. And I turned off the car, and the noise was still going. And I was like, please don't blow up. Please don't kill my house. Please, whatever's in there, please don't kill it. But it went off. It ended up being the starter. The starter blew the solenoid, and the solenoid killed the battery. And so I had to replace all those three things. But luckily, I was on my way to a hotel. So I did have to have it towed to the hotel. And I was in a place where I could get a mobile mechanic. I was meeting some people out in Tucson, and so they knew somebody, so I didn't have to look for somebody. He came out, took care of it. But on the way to the hotel, the tow truck driver somehow broke my back window. Like on a turn or hit a tree or something. So my back bedroom window was crumbled. The only thing that was holding it kind of up is because I had that little film, that little reflected film. It was like holding to that, but it was broken. And I was like, really? And there was like some damage to the body too. But like the window was just like, I was like, for real? All of this right now? Like, I was coming here to enjoy some time, and I was gonna so it definitely made my break from RV life a little bit more challenging because I was having to deal with repairs, but I still did get, thankfully, I had already planned that, because I would have to get a hotel regardless because it snowed the next day while I was in the hotel, while the window was broken. So I was just like, I'm so glad. I was grateful that I was there, but I was just like, for real? Today? So, yeah. That yeah. Anyways, that's one of my little breakdown stories that was just like, really? Today? I'm trying to give myself some mental health relief, and this happens. But anyways, if anybody wants to jump in with any other repair things, we'll go on to the next talking.
I don't have anything I'm not mechanically savvy, if you
Mm.
would. And so I know I was already across the country. My van is a 1995 older van. I bought it and didn't do anything to it. Like, I may have gotten an oil change. I didn't get tires. I just rode out. Like, I was like, whatever. And it was fine. When I got to California, which took me about a month because I stopped in Texas, I got to California and I was going up one of those hills, that same hill that you got stuck on, Tasha, I think it
Oh
was.
yeah, yeah.
I was going down the hill and the smoke started coming out.
Mm.
So I was like, I stopped on the hill, put the brake on, grabbed my little stash of money, and hopped out the car because I was like, it's going to blow up. It
Right.
didn't blow up. I ended up getting it towed to the nearest mechanic. It was like 7 o'clock on a whatever day. So I just slept in the little parking lot of the little repair shop. And in the morning, I was like, hey, can you check it? And they ended up checking it pretty fast, but they were trying to make me wait. The guy put a little water in my thing and I rode off. I was like, all this for nothing, but it scared the crap out of me. And even after I got the water, I went back up that hill like the next day and it started smoking again.
Mm.
But by then I was like, okay, you just dump a little water in it and it's good to go. So that was really the only mechanical issues I've had on the road.
Mm.
Once I came back and I was kind of stable in Florida, my radiator needed to be replaced, which I just recently got that in February. Um, so I haven't really had that many mechanical issues. But to me, that was a big deal. I was like, I'm all the way in Cali now, literally across the country. What am I gonna do if this costs hundreds of dollars? So that was scary. I do suggest or wish that I knew a little bit more up about mechanical things, just basic stuff when you're doing any type of van RV, basic stuff. I think you should know at least how to change it, like simple stuff like that.
Mm.
And I said I would teach myself, or I would learn, or I would ask a friend, or get it together before I left, and I didn't. So that would be the only thing I would suggest to make things easy. But that was really scary for me because I was
Mm.
like, what am I gonna do now? So it
Right.
can get scary,
Yeah.
definitely.
Especially when you're by yourself. If you don't know, if you're by
Right.
yourself and you don't know anything, you
Yeah.
really, you know what I'm saying? But
And then when you think your whole thing is gonna blow up, like I'm thinking, oh shoot, my whole van is gonna blow. The only thing I grabbed was, I think I had my like purse and I had a little stash of like $500 or something rolled up somewhere. I was like, I grabbed that, grabbed my purse and got out. I was like, but this is my whole house. So not only am I all the way across the country, I
right.
don't know what's going on. I don't know if it is fixable, but if it's not fixable and it happens to just blow up right here, because it was really smoky and I hadn't
Mm.
seen anything like that. So I
Mm.
was like, that's my whole home. So now I'm going to be really homeless for real, with nothing. And everything I own is in there, So that's scary. That's scary and it's definitely traumatic. But the fact that the fix was only water made it like a thrill. I was like, oh, and then I went to the beach or something, and I was like, yeah. I was excited. I was good.
Oh my gosh.
Have you had any
It's always
breakdown
on the
things,
back of my
Natasha?
mind. Honestly, it hasn't been too bad. I think the first worst part was when I, like, probably a month in to
Mm.
my build. Um, or actually a month into moving into the van. It wasn't fully built out yet, but I had an
Mm.
issue with one day it wouldn't start, and I was so close to work, thankfully,
Mm.
and I was just could walk to work and come back. I was like, I don't know what's wrong with it, and everyone was telling me, and I don't even remember exactly what it was, but everyone was telling me I was describing is going to be really expensive. And I
Mm.
had already replaced all my tires because my tires are going bad. And I was just like, I don't have the budget yet. Like next
Mm.
paycheck, sure. But like right now, like I
Right.
don't have the budget to pay for something right this minute. And
Right.
I was like feeling stupid, like everyone was like, be careful, like to go in van life, are you sure? Like everyone's throwing their doubts at me. And then like I had this issue that I'm like worried about paying for. And I felt dumb. Like I really did. I was like, oh, see, everything that everyone's telling me, this is what they mean. And
Mm.
thankfully, I had a friend who had a brother who knew like cars like backwards and forwards. Like
Mm.
came, checked it out. Was like, no, it's gonna be okay. Let me just like run and grab something, fix this little thing for you, and I was able to get the van started. and my job has a fleet service, so I was able to get to my job and be like, "Can you guys fix this?"
Yeah.
They went through like with a fine tooth comb, and so I've been really like blessed so far to not have anything huge, but
Right.
I swear, like going on some type of trip where it's just like Rowan and I out to the middle of nowhere, it's always in the back of my mind, like, what if we get stuck
It's
out
stuck
here
out
and have no
here.
cell service, you know?
Right.
Like it's
Right.
always a stressor in the back of your mind. I'm like, do I want to be adventurous, or should I just stay safe and not go out somewhere in the middle of nowhere?
Right. 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 I feel you.
Mm-hmm.
You should be adventurous.
Right? Exactly.
Right.
If nothing else, it'll be a great story to tell in the future.
Right. Speaking of adventures, I was going to jump into another talking point of scary adventures. And I don't think that we go on scary adventures, but we go on adventures that we're like, oh, this is going to be so much fun. And if you're by yourself, you know, you're like, okay, I always have a backpack. My backpack always has like my machete, you know, some water, you know, I'm thinking I'm going to be good. If I get stuck, I will survive. We will test my survival skills. But there's definitely been some adventures that I went on alone that were super empowering, super fun, but like there was a moment or two or three where it was like, where am I? Oh my gosh, I'm in the middle of the nowhere. I'm gonna die kind of feeling like in my where I was. So just to give you an example, like when I was out in Vegas, I went on a hike and I was telling Brie about this, in Red Rock. And in Red Rock, there's all these different trails, but they all kind of start intermingling in different parts. So if you're like following one trail and then you get to a point and you just see like 3 forks in the road, you're like, which way do I go? And if you're not looking down at your little Google map thing, or if you have one of those, you know, the apps that tell you where you are, like All Trails or whatever, to follow your little trail or whatever, which I had, but there was no signal out there. You can't use All Trails unless you buy the Pro one, if you're offline. So it's useless if you're in the middle of nowhere, but which is like most of their hikes. But so yeah, I was out there and I was like, I took one way to get to where I was going, because I was getting up to this point where you could see the red rocks real close. So I was trying to follow that trail. So I took like the mountain trail on the way there, which was like basically climbing mountains the whole way and you're like on top. And then there was a bottom way where you could take like the dried river bed or whatever, the dried river back. And so I had seen people going that way and I was like, I'm gonna go that way on the way back, because you know I didn't climb these mountains. I'm gonna take the nice cool, you know, what I thought was gonna be leveled, you know, way back, you know, through the river. I got to one point, and I think I told you about this, Natasha. I got to one point where it was just like rocks, and I was just like, do I jump down? Is this the end of the hike? Like, is this the end of the trail? Like, where do I go from here? Like, if I wasn't with you on that one hike that we did, I didn't know you were supposed to scale down it, you know, like just shimmy down. You know, I looked at that and I was like, nah, this can't be right. I seen some other people going that way. There's no way they shimmy down this, you know? I was thinking like they must have went somewhere other way, because this looks like a dead end to me. So I start going back the other way and I was like, oh wait, which way did I go from that rock? And I started panicking. And you don't want to panic in the middle of nowhere when you know, it's hot. It was hot desert sun. And I definitely was panicking. But one thing that did kick in for me, that I've noticed that has kicked in for me recently since I've been practicing breath work, is that usually when you have a panic attack or you're panicking, you have very short breaths. Oh my God, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God, you know? And through practicing breath work, which is one of my little self-care practices that I do, it kicks in right away. Like when I was panicking, instead of being, oh my God, I was like, okay, we're going to figure this out. Just breathe in. We're gonna get out. We're gonna go back that way. And then I had seen somebody above, and there was a couple people above, so I knew I wasn't lost. I just didn't know how to get out from where I was, and not have to like backtrack the whole way and look dumb to everybody else that I guess was looking up. And so I seen a guy coming, and he was like, "Are you okay? Like, because I was talking out loud. I talk out loud to myself, and I was like, oh my gosh, I'm lost. I don't know what that. I don't. There's no way it could be that way. Like there's just rocks that way, and he was like, oh, are you okay? Like I was like, yeah, I just don't know where I am or where I'm going. And he was like, you were going the right way. You just stopped when you got to the part. I was like, yeah, it looked like a dead end. He was like, no, you have to go down the rocks. And I was like, really? Like, where was this on the billboard on how this hike was gonna go? I was gonna do some rock climbing. I would have bought better tools and shoes. Yeah, so I definitely panicked, but like that breath work like kicked in, and I've noticed that happen in a couple of different instances where I would normally, because I've had panic attacks in the past, and they are scary as fuck because you don't panic attacks that come from actual reasonable things that you would panic about, like, you know, your loss or whatever, like, but I've had panic attacks that just came out of nowhere, like they were just triggered from like stress or whatever, and I definitely, like, it freaked me out, and so I panicked more. And this was years and years ago, before I knew about panic attacks and mental health and all that stuff, but like I've had them before, and so I know how my body reacts to it. It basically, it has that build up and then it shuts down. Like it has that and then it just shuts down. And through practicing breath work on a regular basis, I've definitely noticed that when I do have those moments of stress or moments of panic, that instead of having those short breaths and that burst of just like adrenaline and then just like going into shock and shutting down, I'm doing that breath, you know, I'm doing my deep breaths and I'm calming myself, you know, through that. And it just kind of kicks in without me really even noticing. And I guess that comes from just practicing it. But yeah, like that's one of the techniques that I
honestly, that's an amazing skill.
Yeah, for sure. And I practice the Wim Hof method. There's a couple other ones that I want to try, or that I've tried, but I don't practice on a regular basis, but that I want to try on a regular basis. But for the most part, I've just been doing the Wim Hof method, and that has been a game changer in a lot of different things. But if anybody else has a story about, you know, being on an adventure that turned out to be a little bit scarier than they thought it would be.
Not so much. I think for me, the only scary moment that I've had, so I feel like I feel really lucky so far, like to have gone 9 months and not have anything super scary so far. There was one night where I was like, you know, like when you're first getting started, you're getting your feel of like where to park. Like I was still getting my feel of like, okay, where can I park? And half the time I'm parked by family because they're doing school with my daughter while I'm at work or whatnot. But like the other half, that's when I'm like, okay, I want to go somewhere. It's my day off. Let me go park somewhere. And there's like a river in this area that's just absolutely beautiful. And I didn't feel like driving like further up to where it's more remote. So I tried to find like a remote spot that was closer to town, which proved to be kind of a mistake. But I scouted it out in the daytime. Like I was like, okay, let me drive by. There's nobody out there. There's like a lot of trash. So I was like, maybe I'll just like clean up a little bit and then just park and have a good evening. So I go out there later that evening. There's nobody there. And I park for a little bit, walk around, get settled in for the night. And around like 3 a.m., I hear like these cars just like down this dirt road, coming down this dirt road. And I'm like, oh, it's probably just like other people parking. I don't know. And these people are like playing really loud music. Like they're blasting their music. And I like peek out through like my window, like over the shades back, and I look, and it's like this big old truck with their lifted wheels like roaring down this dirt road. And I was like, you know, like I got a little nervous. Like, coming out here at 3 a.m.
Right.
And then they like kept going. So I was like, okay, they're gone. Went to sleep. Wake back up because like through my fan, through the roof that's open, I hear voices. Like I hear people, and they're walking towards. Like I can hear their footsteps getting closer to the van. Oh my god, it freaks me out. I was like, why are there people in the middle of the night, like early morning, walking towards my van? And I jumped up like out of bed, just like jumped up. And I think because they were outside, I don't know what they were doing. And I have like these nice all-terrain tires. Like maybe they're trying to like jack stuff in my car. I don't know. And so I stood up, and I guess like they heard it outside of the
Mm.
van, and it freaked them out. Like I don't know what they thought, but they couldn't see into the van.
Yeah.
They heard me. The van moved, and they're like, "Oh shit!" And they took off. And I was like, "Okay, cool." But my heart was pounding, and I was
Right.
freaking out.
No,
At the
I
same
feel
time,
you.
I was like, "Okay." They don't know that there's just me in here. Like they don't know there's some girl in the
Right.
van. They're probably freaking out because they think it's some I don't know what they think it is, but it
Right.
scared them and they ran back. Turned out to be the same people in the truck. Jumped to the truck, took off, and I was like pounding. I was scared. I was like, okay, I'm gonna go. Like I don't know what that was. I'm
Right.
gonna go because I don't need them to come back. So I like
Right.
took off and I went. I parked by a friend's house they were out of town, but I was like, I'm just gonna like park right here till morning. I only have a couple hours left.
Right.
So
Right.
I definitely like have many experiences, but the couple times where I've like felt nervous or
Mm.
afraid, like
Right.
I've it's definitely like not I don't want to experience more of those.
Right. 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 I feel you.
Well, I've had one experience where it wasn't necessarily an adventure, but it was, uh, I was driving from like one shop. I had an appointment at a shop, a bus center or something like that,
Mm.
and I needed to wait the next day to hear from them. So I was like, all right, so I'm stuck in this area until they call me back. So
Mm.
I'm driving back to the Planet Fitness and I see this lake and I love water.
Yeah.
So I was like, let me go see what this lake about, you know?
Mm.
And I go out there and I'm chilling. I got homework to do because my school is around the area too. So I'm doing homework and it gets dark. And I'm still chilling. And then I see this guy or this car that's like driving around every so often.
Mm.
Not when the sun's out, I'm not tripping. I'm still doing my thing. But then when the sun goes down, I see the truck happening again. He's like, it's a older white man. He's like looking, trying to see what's going on, and I'm like, ah, damn. Like I'm scared. Like I said, I'm in Georgia. So,
Mm.
and I'm out here by myself.
Mm.
And at some point, I was like, all right, it's getting too dark. I can't really see. Let me go ahead and go back to Planet Fitness. The
Mm.
man keeps driving by every so often. I'm
Mm.
tripping. I'm scared. Let me start my car. My car didn't start. And so I'm like, all right, you said breath work. My therapist told me about my breath work. I'm all in. It kicks in. I'm like, don't trip. You got this. It's fine. And so I'm trying to figure out how can I get my car to start. So I got to go outside in the dark. There's no lights out here. Like, so I'm using my flashlights. I got my phone light. I got all types of different flashlights coming from different places and stuff like that, trying to gain light so I can see what's going on with my battery. And I'm like, well, I got this auxiliary battery in here. Can I connect this battery to that battery? So I'm like, anyway, so I'm outside in the dark trying to figure out all this stuff. And I got the
Mm.
switch and stuff like that. So I'm like, it's underneath my bus. And I'm like, okay, so I wonder if I turn this switch back and forth, will it turn on? So I'm all on the ground in the middle of the dark, this white man. Ooh, I'm sorry. It was scary for me because I didn't know who this man was. I was in a different area that I'm not used to. I was just there for certain reasons. And I'm on my back by the lake. I don't know what kind of critters is out there. I'm like looking, make sure no critters is coming my way, make sure he's far away, whatever. And I just hooked the clamps to my battery, like the jumper cables to my main battery, trying to reach them to my auxiliary battery. Who knows if that would have worked because
Mm.
I would have been fried if it didn't. I had to try it. I had no other option. But as soon
Mm.
as I clipped the clamps to my main battery, my car turned on. Like I
Mm.
saw the lights turn on. I was like, oh, well, let me try to turn the thing. It worked, but I was terrified. I was terrified the whole time, but
Mm.
I do a pretty good job of remaining calm in the moment
Right.
of a of a scary situation. And also, I'm really glad I didn't ask my mom, or I didn't call my mom, because afterwards I told my mom. She's like, "Oh yeah, there's snakes out there." Like,
Right. Just
They
be
got
like,
snakes. Be careful.
just in case you're already scared, here's something else to be scared about.
I'm already scared about this random person. And
Right.
afterwards, I realized the guy driving around was probably the security guard. But when you're scared,
Yo, scary, yo.
but yeah, that's my little adventure
Yeah,
that turned
yeah.
scary for me.
The situations you guys were talking about with those guys, those guy situations, I'm glad that, you know, we all have our different things on how we like scale our safety
Yeah.
as far as those people. Like
Mm-hmm.
in your case, Tasha, like you were like, you made sure they knew somebody was in there because they probably didn't know what's this van doing in the middle of nowhere. It's probably abandoned. Let's
Yeah,
grab some parts. It looks
exactly.
like that. So once you made yourself known, but once they left off, it still didn't give you peace of mind. So you were like, I gotta go. You
Yeah.
know what I'm saying? Like
Yeah.
them going, knowing that people come to this spot at night to do stupid stuff. You know what I'm saying? Like, even though there's no one around, it's like you being by yourself makes a difference than like if there was somebody else with you.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Like to be
True.
to be scared with, because at least two is better than one. You go when you go
Yeah.
against somebody else. So
Yeah.
that's something that we
You feel
have
like
to,
safer.
yeah, we have to really be prepared for. People, that's a question that people ask. I think I get,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm sure everybody else here gets on a regular basis, like,
Oh
are
yeah.
you afraid, are you scared, yeah, but that's not stopping us from doing it. But yeah, there are those things.
Mm-hmm.
The thing that you do to combat those things is you plan and you have a plan A, plan B. Don't make sure that one place you have to sleep is not your only place. You know what I'm saying? Like if you're traveling, make sure you got Cracker Barrel and a couple Walmarts that you could go to just in case you get the one and one is overfilled or one is creepy in a creepy area. I pulled up to some Walmarts and I was like, I'm not staying here. Like it was in the neighborhood where all the homeless, and I was just like, nah. You know what I'm saying? So that for me, when I was talking about the downsides of traveling, one of the talking points is like overnight parking and travel planning. You have, as a
Mm-hmm.
solo, we don't have another person to like navigate. We need to know where we're going, and if that don't work out, we have to have something else. Because if we're in the moment, like you said, you got to get your car started. And, like if you're in the moment, it's like, okay, what do I do? Where do I go? If you don't have that plan or that backup plan as a solo female, like overnight parking can be a challenge for us, because it's different if you're with somebody and you're like, okay, this is not working out, put in your GPS the next place to go. You know what I'm saying? Like so we can just go versus having to
Yeah.
stop and be like, I don't know, this was the only place that I had, like I don't know where else to go, I'm in a foreign town, like where do I go and park overnight where I'll feel comfortable. So I feel like that's an important thing, as far as solo female travelers or nomads, that like that's one of the downsides sometimes, because we can't always be so spare the moment. At least for me, I'm a planner, so I like to have plan A, plan B, plan C. Even if I'm flexible with all those plans, I still need to have a plan, because there's nobody in the passenger seat. If I get to plan A and plan A don't work out, you know and also planning for your safety. Like if you want to go on an adventure and you're looking on one of the apps, you're like, oh, that looks cool, but you're not sure if a van stayed there or an RV stayed there. Was it a girl or a couple? Some of those things don't give you all that information to give you peace of mind to picking your spot. So you're just kind of experimenting, not knowing where you're going to go, and want to be on this, great adventure, but then it can not, your adventure can be scaled back because you're thinking about your safety because you're alone. So yeah, I wanted to touch on one last topic before we wrap up, and that is um, what what are some what are some things that you do to manage your mental health overall, both your body, mind, and spirit? Any type of self-care practices that you do that help you as a single, solo, I won't say single, I don't know if everybody's single, but solo, I'm single, solo female, nomad on the road. Like, what are some things that you do so that, you know, you're managing, basically you're managing your mental health, so that doing this, these downsides that we've been talking about, or some of the challenges that we can, come across, like what are you doing so that when those things come about, you're in a good space, or not, or what are some things that you are trying to practice or learn to manage your mental health better, so that this life specifically is a joy. And I know for me, like I said, I start the day doing meditation and breath work. And I do those for several different reasons, immunity boost, anxiety, depression, and stuff like that. But really, it's just like taking those few moments in the morning before the day starts, before I get up and have to deal with anybody else, before I do work or whatever. I have those moments for myself, like those few moments, for myself before I like join the world. And I've definitely been not consistent recently, and I know that it's been taking a toll for me, like not. And when I get up and I don't do it, I feel guilty about it, and I'm like, I didn't take my time, I'm not going to get that back later. So that's something that I normally do to manage my mental health, which is to do breath work, meditation, and it's really just to give myself that time, but also training my body how to be prepared be prepared for stressful situations or any type of other situations that would, be a detriment to my mental health. So that's one thing that I practice. The other thing, like I said, I like to do a break from RV life, or van life or whatever. For a couple of days, I'll go stay in a hotel, or I'll go visit a friend, and actually like go in there and stay in my friend's house, shower, but actually like go in there and hang out, in a friend's house or family's house or whatever, just to take a break from the RV. And RV life in the sense, I love my house. I cook in here. Even when I stay in hotels, I come and cook in here. Like, I have everything in here. But sometimes I just need to be away, because I will hermit crab myself in here and not leave. And so I know I need to get outside, go walk, go do something. And so taking a break from it allows me to remember why I'm here and enjoy it more. So those are, I guess, two things that I do to manage my mental health as a solo female nomad. What about you, Bree? You're popped in on camera. What about you?
Hey, I do variations of things. I don't have a set, I'm still just recently admitting that I have some mental health issues. So it's somewhat new, even though it's been in my family. Like, I've seen it all around. I haven't seen anybody handle it healthy. So I guess that's where it differs a little. Meditation is a big thing. I don't consistently do it. Like, I do challenges, and then I'll do it for a few weeks after, and then I won't do it until I'm like having a nervous breakdown, and then I'm trying to do it and it's not working the way I want it to, because I'm just so like in the hole, I guess. Meditation is a big one. I do some isolation. I wouldn't say I'm a people person, but I people a lot. Like, I'm social more than, it's usually in small groups or one-on-one, but I do that. So sometimes I do a little bit of isolation and kind of just shut myself out. Breath work. I've tried a little bit of everything, because I had like panic attacks and like severe ones. So diet, changing what I eat, adding herbs, taking out certain things.
You also got your
Diet and
apartment
meditation would be
too.
my big.
For
Yeah, I got
your
my
mental
part.
health.
I
You needed
canceled.
grounding, you needed to have
Right.
stability, and that wasn't something that you could have. And so that decision was basically all mental health related, because you
Right.
definitely did not want to pay rent again, but you were like, I got to
I
do this for
didn't.
my mental
But I was
health.
having like severe panic attacks, and like I said, I felt like I was living my best life. So I was like, why am I, extremely happy and feel free, but the stability and the lack of planning and not knowing what was happening next, it really got to me. And then, the pandemic, all that stuff added to it.
Right.
But it was just too much. So I said, although this wasn't my plan, 3.5 years in, and I was trying to keep going, I had to like make van life part-time and get back into, I keep doing this, the normal life. So that was a big mental health. I wouldn't say it was a practice though, but it was a decision that I
Decision.
made
Yeah.
to kind of curb some of the
But
mental
the
health
practice of having
issues that I
stability
was
and
going
having a routine and having a grounded place for you to go back to was important to you. You needed that structure, that type of structure or stability in order for you to even have a foundation for, building on that. So,
right. And I'm doing so much better. Like the transition did help me tremendously. And now I'm on a routine. I'm able to work out differently, eat differently. And I know you can do that in van life. And I was like determined to figure it out, but I didn't put enough preparation, or maybe I was too kind of far behind to catch up. But I know you can be stable, you can cook, you can eat right, you can do all those things. I just couldn't figure it out in the van. So I had to take a step back, and I'm doing superb now. Um, but in during the times like having mental health issues on the road, meditation was a good one for me. Yeah.
cool. Natasha, what about you?
Something that Havania had said earlier was like allowing yourself to feel those feelings was a big thing for me, because I'm so used to like shoving them down. Like, no, now it's not the time. You've got things to do. Just set it aside. Like, this is ridiculous. And like, I used to explain the feelings away. And recently it's just been like, I am sad. And actually being vulnerable too with like social media, even just letting them know, like, yeah, I may be like bright and happy the majority of the time, but truthfully, like, I'm like, I may seem like I'm living in the dream to some people, but then I have my bad days, and here's the reality of it. Like, I'm sad, and I'm just gonna feel sad today, and I'm gonna curl up in my hoodie, and I'm gonna eat ice cream, and like,
You're right.
I'm just gonna allow those feelings to come out instead of repressing them, so that I have to deal with them later. I don't want them to compound, and I think that was something that kind of developed through the pandemic as well, just dealing with emotions and separation and co-parenting. Like, all the stressors hit all at once for me.
Right.
And I think that eventually, like, I was just like, I don't know why I'm pushing it down. Like, it's just getting worse. And the more I pushed it down, I would start to get like suicidal. And so it's like, you know what? Like, I need to talk. Like, I need to talk. And so finding the friends, the safe friends who would listen and just allow you to share and vent, and could see eye to eye with you, or was willing to sit and cry with you, that helped me a lot. Like, a lot, just to just feel what I'm feeling in the moment
Right.
and
And release
not
it.
shove it down.
Yeah.
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 Still working on fine tuning things, because
Right.
I feel
Right.
like
It's a
I'm so
process.
delayed.
It's a
Like, I'll be like,
process.
why am I feeling this today? What's going on? What happened? So I'm like trying to figure out, like, what just happened, like,
Right.
even literally yesterday, like towards the end of the day, I was so cranky, and I was like, I just came back from like a fabulous trip,
Right.
like first trip out of the country after being shut down. Like, I should be on top of the world. But then, like, yesterday afternoon, I was just like hit this wall. And I realized also, when you are having a good time, when you are going, there is a stressor in that as well. You could be enjoying yourself, having the time of your life, but just the fact that you're constantly going and constantly stimulating your mind, there's a stressor behind that as well. And so me realizing that to hit a wall and suddenly be grumpy or be sad or whatever I'm feeling after having a great time, like, that's normal. Like, I shouldn't feel bad about it, because that's normal.
Right.
For people to need their brain to just rest and be at peace for a minute and process even the joyous times.
Yeah. Havanya, you want to jump in and and talk if you have anything.
Yeah, sure. I just want to say that what Tasha just said. Yeah, we are complex individuals. Like, so just because you're happy, and you had a good time doesn't mean that you also wouldn't feel some type of way otherwise. We're complex. We can have more than
Right.
one feeling at a time, you
Mhm.
know? So for me though, what do I do? It's been an interesting year for me. Um, but one thing that I do consistently, and I know that I have to do, is write in my journal.
Okay.
I write in my journal, or I do a video log, like
Mhm.
just kind of like how I'm holding my phone now, talk to
Mhm.
the video. I have to get it out. Like I have to get out my feelings. I have to organize them. I have to understand what's going on.
Mhm.
Um, and then also because I have to get them out, I also have to recognize that sometimes I need to talk to a person. That's not necessarily a therapist.
Mhm.
Sometimes I just need to talk to a friend,
Right.
and trust my friend to hear me and or like feel safe
Mm.
in that space. I
Mhm.
haven't allowed myself to feel safe with others.
Yeah, I feel
Uh,
that, girl. I feel that. That's
yeah.
why I wanted to have this conversation because it's like our friends of our life now are not experiencing life the same way we are in this life. You
Mm-hmm.
know what I'm saying? If you have other nomadic friends to relate to, or people that are living alternative, let's say alternative life, like having wanting to reach out to talk to somebody, it feels better when it's somebody that can relate to this or
Mm-hmm.
that situation in that specs, because especially if you have people in your life that doubt your lifestyle, you know what I'm saying? You can't talk to them. You might have always talked to them, but like they are like, already questioning, oh, you want to do that or whatever. Like, you
But this is the
definitely don't
life
want
you
to.
chose type
Yeah, this is
stuff.
the life you chose. Like, do you want to get out now that it's going bad? And it's like,
Mm-hmm.
no, but I need to talk about some stuff. You know what I'm saying? Like, I had a bad
Yeah.
day, or I had a hard day, or I'm traveling and it's fun and it's adventurous, it's great, but like I'm lonely, you know what I'm saying? Like, who am I
Yeah.
talked about that? So I feel you on that, like relatable, having somebody to relate to talk about, and that you just need to talk it out. You don't need any
Yeah.
advice. You don't need to um come up with solution. I'm very good at doing a lot of that on my own. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Like, I can talk myself through situations and figure out stuff, but sometimes I just want to be heard. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
sometimes I just want to be heard. That's it.
Yeah.
I just want to be like,
Yeah.
yeah, it fucking sucks that I had to do this, and it's annoying, and I hate it, and yeah, it's a part of RV life, but it still sucks, and I just want to say
Yeah.
that, and to say
Mm-hmm.
that to somebody, who do I say that to,
Right.
So, anyways, I wanna wrap up here, and I think Natasha fell out, so let's wrap up here by just closing with answering the questions. What's one thing that I've learned today, and one message you would like to share about mental health that you feel like other solo female nomads should know based on your own experience. So I'll start really quick, and I'll just say one thing that I've learned today is that we all struggle. We all have struggles. We all have struggles. Having a safe place to talk about it is super important. And I appreciate everybody that came today. And what I've learned today really is that, having a relatable community, like, is so powerful. Even if it's just one other person, one or two other people that can be like, yes, I've shared the same experience, or I've shared a similar experience. It fucking sucked. Yeah, it sucked, and that's it. Like, having that is important. And so that's what I've learned, and what I want to share is, you know it's important to find that for yourself. um that reaching out to people that I didn't know or haven't met was definitely difficult, and it has been difficult for me to find somebody to talk to, but I'm trying to do the work, because it is important for me to have other people that I can relate to, that I can talk to, not just people to talk to. Like, I'm sure I could call up anybody right now and get support and cry to whatever, but they're not going to understand. They're not going to be able to offer advice that I would want to take. They're not going to, really understand what I'm going through because they can't relate. And so I would say, what I would like to share is, don't just reach out to somebody, actively start trying to find your tribe. People that you can relate to, people that understand what you're going through, whether it's solo, female, nomad life, whatever. This is a topic that we need to continue and have a conversation about, because like I said, we're all struggling with something, and having somebody to relate to is the most important thing for me, that I'm finding that is the most helpful in wanting to talk to somebody. If you're struggling with suicide or depression or anxiety or any type of mental thing, the reason why people pay to talk to a therapist is because they have an objective perspective and they will listen, and they can't relate, but at least by telling them, you're not feeling that initial feeling of judgment, which you would feel if you were thinking about, who else could I tell my problem? My mom? No, she wouldn't understand. My sister? No, she wouldn't understand. My best friend from college? No, they're not going to understand what I'm going through right now because of the life that I chose. So Havani, you can go next since you're in my next little set. What's one thing you learned today, and what's one thing you would like to share to the community about mental health?
Okay, so what did I learn? Well, I'm new to this, so everything y'all said was some good stuff. I learned that I could park at Cracker Barrel and overnight. Pepper spray, yes, and that All Trails has a premium thing that you can use offline.
Yeah.
I didn't know that, so I learned
Yes.
those things, as well as this is the first time I've actually had a full conversation with people who are in van life or bus life, like the
Yeah.
nomad life. So I've learned how good that feels.
Yeah.
So like being able to level with people who are experiencing the same things, or who have experienced other things in the same path that I'm in,
Mm.
and I can learn something from them. And it's
Mm.
not just like, oh, you're doing that, oh, that's so cool, you're living your best life, you're good, that's so
Right.
fun for
Right.
you. Couldn't be me, but
Yeah.
I think that's a big thing that I learned, and that I really enjoy having the conversations with other people who are experiencing similar things as me. And what would I like to share? I would like to share that as far as mental health and dealing with other people, I'd say stop creating narratives for other people's thoughts. Stop trying to, well, try not to figure out what the other person is thinking.
Mm.
Like, so if you do need to share something with another person, you don't create what they're going to say to you before you even say it, or how they
Right.
feel about what you're saying as you say it. I
Right.
think that just causes more anxiety, and then it causes you to, or I can't say cause you, because I'm gonna just speak for myself.
Right.
Okay. When I do that, it causes me to have anxiety, as well as for me to just get overwhelmed and not share anything and isolate myself. Like,
Right.
I'm not going to do this person's not going to understand, or they're going to think that this is stupid, or da 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 da. And so my thing with, as far as mental health, is don't try to create narratives for other people,
Mm. Okay. Yeah.
and be present. Also be present.
Yes. 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 And Bree, you want to wrap it up for us?
I sure will. What was the question again? I'm sorry.
So
I'm
it
running.
is, what's one thing you've learned today, and what's a message you would like to share about mental health to the community?
A message. What did I learn today? That you are a really good meeting put together, and you're a host, and that I think that you should continue this. It was good. I got a lot out of it. I think everybody did. I think it's super important, so it's not just like we're not talking about anything important. So that's really good to know about you. And I did enjoy the conversation. And
Is there any message you would like to
that it
share
doesn't
about mental health?
that is not it's not it's a heavy topic, but you can talk about it like it's not it didn't feel heavy, even though we were, sharing somewhat intimate situations. It didn't feel like so personal and so heavy. Um and it was enjoyable, and it felt you can get relief out of it. Some people like, I can't share, I don't know, and I don't know enough people, they're not going to understand, but you can find people to share. And pretty much what you said, find your tribe.
Okay, cool. Well, I want to thank everybody for coming. I know a few people dropped out at the end. I'm sure it was probably signal, or we're about to hit that 2 hour mark, which I was, that's why I was like, I don't know if it's gonna go over or not, but like I know when women start talking, we get chatty, So, but I really appreciate everybody coming and sharing their story and voicing. I feel like this is something that I may want to do on a regular basis. I might take it over to my podcast. We'll see what happens. In light of Mental Health Awareness Month, I just wanted to make sure that, especially solo female travelers can have a safe space to talk about this stuff and for us to voice ourselves, because like I said, if you're a YouTuber or you do Instagram or whatever, we're sharing a lot of the glamorous parts of it, and that's what people see, but they don't know that we might be facing challenges. And after the death of Lee, the van life girl, I watched her and her partner and several other, van life people doing it, living their best life. And, just like what a lot of people were shocked about her death, because they were like, I didn't even know she was depressed. You know what I'm saying? Depressed enough to kill herself. You know what I'm saying? Like, we all face challenges, and I definitely seen that through her channel. But when she became a solo female during the pandemic, she was an extrovert. And so being locked up and not being able to see people and hang out with people, and then the interactions that she was getting online, that was overwhelming for her. And like, that hit me hard, only because how I relate to that is the suffering in silence thing. Not having somebody to talk to, and then just not talking, and then just suppressing it, moving on with life, and then that being that gets stored in your body whether you like it or not, and it comes back up. It comes back up in some way, some form, whether it's anxiety, panic attacks, depression, skin conditions, eating, your gut, any of that stuff, all of that trauma and those things, whether they're micro traumas or mega traumas, they will get to you. And so I wanted to have a time to release that, because I feel like that's something that we don't want to share, those downsides and stuff like that. So anyways, I'm gonna wrap it up here. Thank you for coming. Thank you for watching. Please like, comment, and subscribe. Peace and blessings. I'm out. Bye. Thank you.